For me, there's a simple rule in politics. Never, ever be surprised by what happens in politics.
The face of truth is open. The eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed. The head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward. The gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crying in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
How are you doing today? Welcome to another edition of NewsSpin right here on Power 97.9 FM. We are also on YouTube and the NewsSpin Facebook page. My name is Timothy Poleon. The broadcast goes up until 2 o'clock this afternoon. I'll be getting your input in just a moment at 452-2979, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, 716-2026. And Kimani will be going through some of your comments in the chat room. Unconfirmed reports that a man was found hanging and that's somewhere in Monrepo, either today or yesterday, but we're trying to get confirmation on this. We don't know whether the person committed suicide or whether he was the victim of a crime. So we'll monitor this, and as soon as we have more information to share with you, we will be passing this on our broadcast this afternoon. There is a tendency in St. Lucia for us to ignore certain ills that are plaguing us in this country. Whether it is crime, whether it's allegations of corruption, whether it's problems with the economy, too much borrowing, lack of transparency, and also public officials and politicians and government ministers not being held accountable. We tend to ignore those issues, but they somehow have the innate ability to come back and haunt us. And what I'm talking about, of course, IMPACS. You had this investigation that was conducted by a group of police officers from Jamaica. And this occurred during the reign of the St. Lucia Labour Party administration of 2011-2016. And you had an address by the Prime Minister in 2015. And all of a sudden, fleeting mention was made or reference was made to IMPACS people like, for example, human rights activist and attorney Mary Francis would just not move on from IMPACS. She continued to speak about it, the plight of the relatives of the victims of the alleged extrajudicial killings. But by and large, most of us moved on to what we might have deemed more pertinent issues. So, IMPACS, the alleged extrajudicial killings, abuse of state powers, the use of excessive force by the police, etc. Talk of there being a hit list, and this whole issue being politicized. It has, all of those things have come back to haunt us. And no matter what we do, no matter how we try to evade the real subject matter, that of resolution, it comes back. And we ignore it, but the stench is definitely there, and questions are now being asked. We'll be hearing the leader of the opposition asking some questions of the society and the authorities in particular. But unfortunately, the Prime Minister of this country seems to be in denial. The Prime Minister is adopting a hands-off approach to IMPACS. There are certain issues and problems that you inherit as a government. And the Prime Minister knows that. He has been around for a very long time. And it's your responsibility to address those issues. It's not your fault that we have crime in this country. But, in the form of a relay, the scourge, the problem has been passed on like a baton from one administration to another. So, we had crime during the John Compton era, during the Louisy era, Winston Snack, during the interim period of the government of Dr. Mikey Pilgrim, and Dr. Kenny Anthony inherited it, and Alan Chasney, and now Philip J. Pierre. And he has the tendency to say, those problems did not emerge after the last German election. We all know that, Mr. Prime Minister. We all know that. But we're always hoping that a new leader with a fresh pair of eyes will manage to bring whatever ills that they have inherited under some level of control. That is a given. You have a principal at a learning institution passing on the reins of leadership to another principal. He or she would inherit certain problems. But you don't hear principals saying, I inherited this, and making excuses like little children. They all tried their utmost to remedy those problems. And you don't expect the Prime Minister in a modern day society, realities, and take, for example, what's happening with Palestine and Israel, moving from administration to administration, Israel becoming a nation state in 1948, and then you have leader after leader dealing with those issues, and you have the need for two states, Palestine and Israel, and then you have the PLO, you have Hamas, etc. And those problems have been handed down generation to generation. You don't hear them complaining. They have to deal with it. That is the reality of the situation. That's the reality of life. But to add insult to injury, Philip J. Pierre has been in politics for a while. An MP, 5-star general, from 1997. So he has seen it all. He has been around. He knows about the issues. Not a case where he even has to be briefed. He did not have to be briefed on IMPACS. He would have been privy long before he got into office in 2021 about the contents of that document. And if he was not briefed at some point, he would be eager. He would be curious. As human beings, you're curious. Man, what's in that report? I want to know what's in that report. Prime Minister Dr. Kenny Anthony, I'm assuming, would have provided him with the report to go through, peruse, etc. And as Prime Minister also, he would be aware of the contents of that report. And if you take yourself seriously as the leader of the country, or any country, you know that you have to grapple with this problem. You have to try to wrestle with it. You have to address it, because if you are successful, you will receive the credit. The country, the society will credit you for having resolved what appeared to be something that was difficult, cumbersome issue. And you managed to juggle it, and you resolved it. And in the run-up to the next general election, you could boldly say that you resolved IMPACS. It straddled several administrations, and you came in and you realized that to move on, we had to deal with it so that, one, it could be justice, whether it involves justice for the police, those who have been accused, or the victims of the alleged extrajudicial killings. Because this has stymied the work of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force and the officers there. It has served as an inhibiting factor. It has stalled progress, although of late, so much has happened to the Royal St. Lucia Police Force and its image. People are talking about rebranding, and what is needed, of course, is restructuring. And it will take decades. This is no exaggeration. It may take upwards of 50 years before we can improve the image of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, and for you to be convinced that the Royal St. Lucia Police Force is worthy of your trust. I don't think any talk show host, I don't think any individual, I don't think any politician right now as we speak can convince the majority of St. Lucians that we should trust the police. Too much evidence going against doing that. And it's not our fault as citizens. It's a combination of many factors. The police on one hand, and also politicians. And the police force has been plagued by many things, including interference by the police, by politicians, sorry. But what is happening right now with regard to the sullying and the compromising of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, sullying of its reputation, compromising its integrity, is unprecedented. The police force should be cloistered, sheltered as an institution. We should not be talking about the police force and politicians in the same breath. But that is exactly what is happening. But Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre, this week, you're familiar with that clip. He is saying that IMPACS is not his being. It is his cross now. But if you don't want to have anything to do with IMPACS, why contest the last general election? Why were you so eager to be sworn in as Prime Minister of St. Lucia? Why continue to boast of being a 5-star general when you do not want to deal and accept the responsibilities that come with being a 5-star general? So if we have a shortage of rice in St. Lucia, shouldn't we be asking questions of any government minister or the cabinet or the prime minister? Should you just accept it? Those are the problems that you inherit, and you have to deal with those problems as you go along. As you often say, Mr. Prime Minister, you will not be in that position forever. So the next individual who aspires to be Prime Minister of St. Lucia or to succeed you, replace you as Prime Minister, he or she must be prepared, because you, Mr. Prime Minister, will be handing over to that individual, your successor, a litany of woes, problem after problem because you would have been neglectful in addressing some of the problems before you because you're only human, Mr. Prime Minister. So let's listen to the Prime Minister making excuses on impacts.
The impact report is not my being. I didn't create the impact report. The Prime Minister before me had a copy of the impact report. I'm not the only one who had a copy of the impact report. Why all suddenly the impact report has become my cross? It was there before me. It was there for the last 5 years. They had it for the last 5 years. All the contents of the impact report and all the action that has to be taken on the impact report could have been done in the last 5 years.
Could have, should have, was not addressed. It is your problem, sir. Deal with it. What do you want to be? A part-time prime minister? You want to pick and choose what you're going to address? Well, I will address issues relating to youth and employment. So I'll create a youth economy. And what you're saying, to hell with impacts, to hell with the high cost of living, to hell with the crime problem in our country? The leader of the opposition has been asking some questions. And you might be asking the question, why all of a sudden when about impacts and impacts and impacts? There is more in the mortar than the pestle. Because in St. Lucia, I'm sure most of you have heard the term about corp law. You know, things that are being discussed in the boardroom, happening behind closed doors, and many of us would not be privy to those issues. But I suspect that something is about to happen in this country. That's why if you ask the Prime Minister about impacts, he becomes fidgety, all of a sudden he's agitated. He believes that you have a particular agenda and you're out to get him. But we're just saying this thing has been in abeyance for a while. And who knows? The Americans might be asking questions. The EU might be asking questions. Many interest groups might be asking questions. And therefore, this has prevented the Royal St. Lucia Police Force from moving forward in a number of areas. There needs to be resolutions. I suspect there's some things that are happening behind the scene that has resulted in the resurgence of this issue. So let's have the leader of the opposition asking some questions.
Is it true that the DPP has indicated and advised the Commissioner of Police that he's ready to prosecute some of the cases? To prosecute the alleged politicians, corrupt politicians, alleged corrupt business people, and alleged corrupt police officers.
That's the leader of the parliamentary opposition speaking yesterday during a mid-morning press conference of his opposition United Workers' Party. And we'll be hearing another individual during the course of our program making reference to the contents of the IMPACS report. And he quoted that a part of the report which says, the crime problem in St. Lucia is facilitated by corrupt politicians, government officials, business persons, and police officers, extracted from the IMPACS report. Your calls right now at 452-2979, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, 716-2026. And, of course, your comments in the chat room. As we say, good afternoon to you, Kimani.
Good afternoon, Tim. In the chat room, someone says, the sky is falling on PJP. It's obvious this government isn't ready. Another comment in the chat room, someone says, great point, Tim, but the name Philip can be replaced with Alan and it would be exactly the same. Another comment, blame game as usual. And someone is asking, has the government forgotten about fixing the roads? The main roads are in a terrible state from Dennery to Castries. That's it, Tim, in the chat room.
All right, somebody says via WhatsApp, Tim, did the Prime Minister say I was not the only one who had a copy of the IMPACS report? I guess he's making reference to the fact that his predecessor, Alan Chastanet, also had a copy of the IMPACS report. Let's see if we have some more of your WhatsApp messages. Somebody says that, Tim, didn't the Prime Minister say he knows nothing about IMPACS? But of recent, he's stating that he is not the only one with a copy. Make it make sense. Or should I just come out and call him a liar? All right, let's see. Some more of your WhatsApp messages. Once again, 716-2026, and that is 716-2026. Let me see. Okay, I don't think we have any of your WhatsApp messages, but we stand by for your calls. 452-2979, 452-2979, along with your WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026. WhatsApp call. Good afternoon. You are on the air. Hello. Let's see if we can get this call on the air. Please stand by, caller. We'll try to get this call on the air momentarily, and then you'll get your contribution. Hello? No, I'm not hearing you, caller. We have to rectify something.
But I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Okay,
though.
go ahead now.
I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Go ahead now. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, Tim. I was listening to Rick Wayne yesterday, Tim, and what I gathered from what Rick Wayne was saying is that Kenny Anthony pushed our laws aside, fold in for the Americans, and go ahead with, his own investigations for Americans, right?
Yeah.
That's what it was, right?
Yeah, our laws were amended to facilitate the investigation by the officers from Jamaica under IMPACS.
But what colleagues senior was saying yesterday is that we had our own inquiry already, but Kenny Anthony go against our inquiry and go with the Americans, right?
Yes, sir.
So, all right, I want to ask you that question now, Tim. How are we going? Because on our side, in our laws, we have already prosecuted the IMPACS report. But now we are sanctioned by the Americans through the Lee law, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is the solution right now that the Prime Minister, whoever in charge of IMPACS, is going to do to remove the sanctions on the police force? Because
how are you posing that question to me, sir? I'm not the press secretary to the Prime Minister. I'm not part of his cabinet. I cannot read his mind. I don't know what he's up to as far as this issue is concerned. But one way or the other, it has to be tackled. It has to be addressed. But I think.
But how? Because we are.
Hold on, caller. I think it starts with the DPP. It starts with the DPP.
Okay, because it is something where I'm just trying to find out, like, because we already have our inquiry. What now we have to do to please the Americans to remove the sanctions? You understand? How are we going to remove the sanctions? Because America said our inquiry wasn't good.
Yeah.
So what the Americans want from the government? What they want the government to do to remove the sanctions? Thank you, Tim.
Okay, thank you so much. To be determined, sir, by the Director of Public Prosecutions. Okay, so the DPP will make a determination. He has to make a determination. It could be now, it could be next year, but at some point in time, whoever is in that seat will have to determine the way forward. Somebody says that, Tim, I wonder what the Prime Minister has to say about the container of drugs. And let's see if we have some more of your WhatsApp messages. Another person says, Tim, the Prime Minister looks and sounds more and more ridiculous with each passing day. He seems to be a cornered rat. And another one says, the Prime Minister sounds so angry. The new driver cannot drive. Referring there, of course, to a calypso by a seasoned calypsonian out of Trinidad and Tobago, Chuck Dust. All right, let's see if we get another call. Are we trying to put this call on the air? No, I don't think we're able to, but we'll try again via WhatsApp. Good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air. Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon to you.
Hi, good afternoon to you, caller.
Hello?
Yes, caller. Go ahead, please.
Okay, Tim, I listen to the Prime Minister, and every day you listen to him, you wonder if he knows what the job of being a Prime Minister is. When he put his hand down on that Bible to swear whatever it is he swore on, he took over the responsibility for the whole country.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody needs to sit him down and tell him about how government works. Yes, the ministers under him each have their portfolio, but the buck, like Obama used to say, like Bush said, like Clinton said, like everybody before them said, the buck stops with the prime minister, you know? And he also has to know that when an issue arrives on his desk, it is because it's on fire. You know, it nobody else underneath him, no permanent secretary, no other minister, nobody else could solve it. He has that file and he has to extinguish it. I listen to the man every day complaining about other people, pointing fingers everywhere. He's not responsible. Even problems he and the SLP created, he tries to blame everybody for it. I noticed the pattern. Stephen King has been there for almost 30-something years. He spent a large part of that in power. Kenny Anthony spent 15 years in power. Philip J. Pierre has been elected and in parliament this entire time. He was deputy to Kenny Anthony. He sat there making the decisions, helping make them, all the successes, all the failures, everything. And today, he cannot blame King because King is in his cabinet. He cannot blame Kenny because Kenny was his mentor, was his boss, whatever it is. So he has to find a scapegoat. So it becomes Alan Shastney. Among the four of them, Alan Shastney was the shortest. Philip J. Pierre has had a ringside seat to all what's happening or a hand in what's happening. So he cannot come and complain about everything and make it somebody else's fault. Even if it was somebody else's fault, now it is his portfolio. We're getting a little tired of him complaining about everything. When you say it's not yours, but you'll attempt to fix it, yes, it is yours. You're the prime minister. All what's happening in the country is yours. It's also his responsibility to discipline Richard Frederick. Maybe he doesn't know that. His minister sits on television, throws the police under the bus, say that they give him files. In any other proper democracy, the next morning he would have asked for his resignation. I saw yesterday a minister 2 days ago, a minister in Toronto was asked for her resignation for something that doesn't come close to what Richard Frederick did, and she had to resign because she broke the law, she broke the rules. In St. Lucia, Richard Frederick sits and says it's only in St. Lucia this will happen. Yes, it's only in St. Lucia that he will still have his job and have a radio show. Why? Because Philip J. Pierre cannot do his job. The problem I see when I see the Prime Minister speaking, like when I watch him do that sword turning ceremony, he was playing two roles, a dual role. He was being Prime Minister, he was trying to be Prime Minister, but he's also campaigning at the same time. He doesn't seem to know when to stop campaigning, when to stop running to protect the victory, when to stop running elections, and when to actually govern the country. You see, the SLP never gets out of election mode, whereas the UWP have the opposite problem. When the UWP gets in power, everybody in the UWP wants to be in government. Nobody stays to man the party's machinery and continue the party's electioneering. With SLP, the entire party is constantly in electioneering mode, and they do not govern. Mr. Pierre needs to realize he's almost halfway through his mandate. He needs to change gears, let the party apparatus be the party, even if he helps them. He's not the campaigner in chief. He's now the chief administrator of the country. And every speech he makes, he shouldn't, a sword turning ceremony, the Taiwanese cutting ribbons, wherever the man goes, he finds reason to campaign and to blame somebody for the shortcomings over the last 30 years. And also, almost always, it is Alan Shastney. You will get sick and tired of that. If he cannot do the job, promote somebody else who can do it, and he needs to resign. He needs to stop complaining, do the job, or resign. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you so much for calling. And I'm just saying that if the Prime Minister continues in that mode, because people are watching, and in the absence of a poll or any study or anything, I could just imagine that people, especially middle-of-the-road people who are not hacks, not supporting SLP or UWP, undecided voters, I'm sure that they're getting very tired of that kind of attitude that is being exhibited by the Prime Minister. His approach, the fact he is so defensive, making excuses, and seemingly always on the campaign trail. And if it continues so, the Prime Minister might as well prepare a statement that he'll be issuing, let's say, within the next 2.5 years or so, when his party demits office. I mean, to explain why he would have lost the general election, because it appears that is what he's aiming for. And maybe he will admit that he was campaigning too much. Maybe he will admit he was making too much reference to his predecessor, Alan Shastey. Maybe he will admit that he has been making too many excuses. What's in the chat room, Kimani?
Someone in the chat room says, Tim, we need the job prospectus for all of PJP's portfolios because it seems we need to remind him of what his responsibilities are. Another comment, you guys are not hearing. The PM says he doesn't know, so it's up to the DPP. Leave PJP alone. Tim, if you listen to Philip J.P., he is saying why he has to be the one to take the action recommended from the IMPACS report. The former administration could have done it. Why him? So the question is, what action is causing pain to Philip G. Pierre? Another comment, St. Lucia is smelling sulfur, corruption sulfur. It's like all is falling apart in St. Lucia. Our police are corrupt, judges, lawyers, politicians. We are doomed. Tim, is this the behavior of a prime minister? You think PJP understands the role of being a prime minister? Another comment in the chat room, PJP isn't protecting his victory at all. Someone says he needs to add a portfolio to his ministry as Minister of Complaining. That's it.
Thank you so much. Still to come, some more of your calls, your WhatsApp messages, and who is quoting from the IMPACS report. That individual says, the crime problem in St. Lucia is facilitated by corrupt politicians, government officials, business persons, and police officers. You're watching the broadcast on YouTube, the NewsSpin Facebook page, and listening on Power 97.9 FM. This is the most monitored talk show in the world, NewsSpin.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
Lazarus's funeral home is here for you. Lazarus's private cemetery offers a peaceful resting place for your loved ones. With tranquil settings, visitation, and reflection, we believe in the compassionate care of all our departed loved ones. Lazarus's private cemetery, let us help you create a final resting place. Make it special. Make it Lazarus's funeral home, your friend in a time of need. Payment plans are available for tombs. Call us in Vidbuta at 452-7491 or in New Dock Road, VA4, 454-6555.
Introducing the new LuSelect Virtual Service Desk, where one click is your access to every service. From My Account to Streetlight reports, requests for payment arrangements to settle arrears, change of name and address. Easy online forms give you access from anywhere and at any time. Every service you need at your fingertips. Go to our website, luselect.com, and click on the Virtual Service Desk widget. LuSelect's Virtual Service Desk. Every solution at your fingertips.
And he's done it! He's done it! And my goodness, it's gone.
The party is back! Premier Sports Inc. presents the KFC SPL T20. Powered by the National Lotteries Authority. Will defending champions Choiseul Craft Masters retain their crown? Or will they be pulled down?
Oh, it's time Perfection.
From October 13th to the 28th at the Darren Sammy Cricket Grounds and Grosley Playing Field. Grab your tickets now. Sol Gas Station in Grosley, Amici Restaurant and Bar in Rodney Bay, Riverside Car Park in Castries, Soufre Foundation in Soufre, Monrepo, Choiseul, and Labrie Credit Union. Tickets are only $15 for adults, $5 for children. VIP $65 and $85. The party is back. The KFC SPL T20, powered by the National Lotteries Authority. Show them how to party.
Things are heating up at the National Farmers and General Workers Credit Union Limited. We've got some red-hot deals just for you with 100% financing. Rev up for some excitement with our incredible vehicle loan offer. Building or renovating, we've got you covered. Or pack up for that ideal getaway. This offer won't be available forever. Visit us today and take advantage of this limited time deal. Don't miss out on these fantastic deals with 100% financing. Only at the National Farmers and General Workers Credit Union Limited. We're your friend when you're in need.
The Ministry of Commerce, in collaboration with the Embassy of the Republic of China, Taiwan, presents the 16th Annual St. Lucia, Taiwan Partnership Trade Show at the Pavilion on the ramp in Rodney Bay, Grosley, from Friday, November 3rd to Sunday, November 5th, 2023, from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. Come, support the creativity of 69 local entrepreneurs and 16 Taiwanese businesses, including ICT and business solutions, food and beverage, and so much more. We will be hosting lots of fun games and activities for kids. Relax and enjoy the nightly live entertainment. Saturday features carefree karaoke with fantastic prizes up for grabs. Then on Sunday, we culminate in grand style with a strictly local fashion show and live comedy from Cox Productions. Don't miss out. Free shuttle service provided from the Baywalk Shopping Mall and back. Come witness the emergence of our next generation of entrepreneurs.
Fast Pay, a new and easy way to pay. Fast Pay, Fast Pay.
You asked for it and you got it. A quicker way to pay your bills online. It's fast, secure, and easy to use. No registration, no additional fees. Flow is now offering FastPay, an online service that allows you to settle your bills in less than 2 minutes. Need a receipt? FastPay will send it to your email immediately. Use FastPay now for convenience, safety, and efficiency at discoverflow.co/fastpay.
Fast Pay, 2 minutes and you're on your way. Fast Pay, Fast Pay.
Flow is keeping you connected.
Night Meds is your dependable neighborhood pharmacy. You'll notice that upon entry, you are greeted by caring professional staff, attentive to your every need. Your prescriptions are always treated with a high degree of confidentiality, and we pride ourselves on providing speedy, efficient service. We carry a wide array commonly requested over-the-counter products, and our prices are very competitive. We offer blood pressure testing, blood sugar, and cholesterol testing. We're open to fill your prescriptions Monday to Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Come, visit Sadhu's gas station on the Miku Highway or call us at 572-6840 or WhatsApp 461-6840 for more information. Night Meds Pharmacy. We are your community med store.
Can't get a break from all this tax? Head to Automotive Art and get a taxcation. Automotive Art is offering you an ease from VAT and health and safety levy with savings of up to 15% and more. That's right, 15% of all tools, 15% of all accessories, 15% of car detailing, 15% of all rims, 15% of computerized wheel alignment, and 15% and more of selected tires with savings of up to 30% on some sizes. It's Automotive Art Taxation. Visit us at Automotive Art at Vidbutai Castries and Latuni for today and enjoy a taxation. Offer valid for limited time. Some conditions apply. See stores for details.
Are you working that 9-to-5 job but also juggling a side hustle? Well, Elks Credit Union has great news for you. Introducing Elks Credit Union Side Hustle Boost Loan. Need funds to take your side hustle to the next level? With our Side Hustle Boost Loan, you can access up to $50,000, giving your side hustle the boost it needs. And here's the best part. You'll have up to 5 years to pay it back with flexible repayment options that suits your budget. Whether it's expanding your inventory, upgrading your equipment, or marketing your services, Elks Credit Union is here to support your entrepreneurial dreams. Don't let your side hustle remain just a dream. Let Elks Credit Union empower you to turn it into a thriving reality. Boost your side hustle today with Elks Credit Union's Side Hustle Boost Loan. Contact us now or visit our website for more information. Elks Credit Union, your partner in success. Terms and conditions apply.
It's coming. The brunch of the century. Welcome to Sunburnt. Sunday, November 26th. Sunburnt. It's coming.
I can report that the findings of the investigators are extremely damning. I will state some of these findings tonight to bring home to you the extreme gravity of this matter. These findings relate not only to those officers who were involved in the operations, but additionally, members of the high command of the police force who may have been involved in covering up these matters. The report confirms that the blacklists or death lists referenced by the media, human rights organizations, victims' families, and citizens alike did exist. More alarmingly, the investigators report that all the shootings reviewed were fake encounters staged by the police to legitimize their actions. Further, that the weapons supposedly found on the scene of the alleged extrajudicial killings were from sources other than the victims. The investigators say that the weapons were planted on the scene of the shootings. The investigators also advise that a number of shootings were done by police officers and are listed on the murder statistic as being done by unknown assailants. Revealingly, the report suggests that, quote, the crime problem in St. Lucia is facilitated by corrupt politicians, government officials, business persons, and police officers, unquote.
Former St. Lucia Prime Minister Dr. Kenny Anthony addressing the island, and that is 8 years ago, in an address to the nation, and making reference to the IMPACS report, saying that the crime problem in St. Lucia is facilitated by corrupt politicians, government officials, business persons, and police officers. And several years later, we are still searching for answers as far as this report is concerned, as far as the work of the DPP in prosecuting police officers who are accused of engaging in extrajudicial killings. So we have on the line right now Miss Mary Francis. Let us say good afternoon to you, human rights attorney, human rights activist, Miss Mary Francis. Good afternoon.
Can you hold, please?
Oh, okay. So I'm holding on for Miss Francis. She's at her office right now. We will speak with her in just a moment. All right. Good afternoon to you, ma'am.
Afternoon.
Hi. Good afternoon to you, Miss Francis. Thank you so much for agreeing to speak with us on NewsSpin. Of late, ma'am, people have been talking about an issue that has been somewhat put on the back burner, but you have kept it going for a while now, and that is the whole allegations of extrajudicial killings and the IMPACS report. What do you think about the reignition of the debate on IMPACS?
To tell you the truth, Mr. Timothy, I really didn't want to speak on this thing because the political football which continues is really shameful. This whole thing is so disconcerting, you know. I think it's an affront to justice after 11 years almost under IMPACS report 2013. I mean to say, I don't understand what goes into the thinking of those people who form the government, especially hearing Dr. Kenny Anthony last week talking about blaming Shastney, passing blame here. It's about accountability. It's about the rule of law. It's about, the whole question of the right to life, protection of human life, which is the most fundamental, basic human right. Without life, there are no other human rights, and the duty of the state to account when a life is taken by agents of the state. That is the issue. There must be accountability, because they keep referring to the separation of powers. I heard the Prime Minister, Philippe Pierre, talk about separation of powers. They cannot interfere with the judiciary and the DPP. They keep using that as a scapegoat and talking. But what about extrajudicial killing? That is also involves the issue of separation of powers. It is not for the police to kill people in making an arrest if they're not under attack and to take people's life. They are not the judiciary. It's the judiciary that can do that. So they're part of the executive. So the separation of powers apply there. Also the principle apply. And if they want to uphold that principle, they were supposed to do their job, the government. And furthermore, to hear the Prime Minister last night or whenever it was, that's not my baby, that's not my baby, and it's a cross. My God, I could not believe a Prime Minister saying that. I asked myself, what goes into the thinking of people in such high office, the Prime Minister? What does he stand for? What does he believe in? To speak like that, and it goes all over the world when you have 12 lives or how many lives lost, and then you have the, furthermore, the Americans should never be involved in that, because if they, as a government, believed in the principles of accountability and the rule of law, which undermines and underpins, our democracy and is the cornerstone of our democracy. If they had believed in those principles, they would have acted as they were supposed to do according to the Constitution and so forth. They failed to do that. They put in the blame on each other. It's a question about the accountability, the rule of law, as I said, and the protection of human rights. You cannot tell me that this thing happened since 2011. At the cusp of when it happened, that is when the Labour Party assumed office in November or December 2011. They went on to 2016, so they're the ones. Felipe was part of this administration. I think he was a veteran. He's trying to say it's not his baby, but I cannot believe that. The thing is whole shameful, it's embarrassing for St. Lucia, and I think they have to do what they're supposed to do. They should have been doing ever since. If they keep talking about the DPP, yes, okay, he's independent, but they had a duty. It was Dr. Kenny Anthony. You heard a term he used last week on the news. 12 men were slaughtered. If he knew they were slaughtered when he was there, what did he do? And passing the blame on Shasta, they came in 2016. What did they do to get the evidence? He went all the way to amend the legislation to give the Jamaican officers, police officers, the same powers as our St. Lucian police who have to investigate. And he did all that, all the good things, and then he just turned a blind eye himself to ensure that the recommendation, to ensure what was necessary to have a prosecution, because if there were extrajudicial killings, what follows? Sending a bad signal to the whole question of some persons are more equal than others when it comes to applying the law. Why you have all those young men and doing the killing, they're sitting down in Bordelais, and why you are telling me if it is extrajudicial, as they said, as the inquest in 2016 June said in Beaufort for the 4 men that were killed, it said it's unlawful killing. So the DPP has an answer. To say he has to be accountable. I know even the magistrates' courts, they have what they call monthly annual returns as to how many cases have been done and so forth. There must be accountability by all agents of the state because taxpayers are paying them. And if, the governments come, government go, but the state continues to exist, and therefore the institutions of the state must function, they must be protected, or else what happens to the state? What happens to the rule of law? What happens to democracy? So that is has sent a bad image out there, a bad message for the police force, for the citizens, the young men in the society. They have gone to secondary school. They see what is going on. They see. So all that to me does not help in the question of solving crime and so forth. So I think if it has come back, there is some reason why it has come back now, center state. There is some reason. I'm only hoping that something good will come from it. But apart from the DPP, I think it was the duty of the Labour Party government at the time when they came in 2011, 2016 to have a commission of inquiry. I did write the relevant authorities to set up a commission of inquiry to actually to find out what was behind the conduct of the police, to find out how the police force was being operated at that time, to see, because there were serious allegations and I said, for the sake of St. Lucia's name and for the sake of the integrity of the police force, I used those words in the letter. A commission of inquiry should be established to know what happened. They all turn a blind eye. So what is the reason? Why would educated persons who assume the office of High Office of Prime Minister behave like that? That's what we, the people, want to know. Why they failed in their responsibility. Why? And then furthermore, the other thing which vexes me, Dr. Anthony spoke of, some of the police there, they're lingering, or not lingering, or whatever is the word he used, that they have been denied promotion and so forth. Not one time did I hear him speak about the family members who lost their sons and the people. They don't care about the people that were killed. They only care about the police force. Yes, it's a very important institution, but when they have done wrong, they must face the same law as the people, other citizens, and so forth. And also, you have Mr. Stevenson King, who was the Prime Minister when he launched the whole Operation Restore. What language did he use? He said the people that were killed, that is collateral damage. Look at the insensitivity that has been shown to human beings who lost their life and their family members. That was respect for life to speak in that manner. Because those people were not caught in committing a crime and taken before the court and so forth. They were shot, and the words of Dr. Anthony, they were slaughtered.
But Ms. Francis, do you think that's the dilemma that the Prime Minister faces right now, in that Mr. King is part of his cabinet?
But let me tell you something. What is work doing is work doing well. You see, he's going to come back to haunt him, so be it. What is work doing is work doing well. They know what they did. They know what arrangement they did to get into power. That is their business if they're going to suffer the consequences right now. There are principles in life that you cannot compromise. You see, especially when you're in government. The whole question of the rule of law is the cornerstone of good governance. I mean, I cannot understand the thinking of those people. I cannot understand. It's so childish to come on the media and talk about, a cross Sukari, it's not my baby. That was shameful and embarrassing as a Prime Minister. I just cannot understand. I cannot understand. That's why I wanted to have nothing to say about this thing, because it is embarrassing. It is disconcerting for me to see that so-called intelligent people can behave like that. An important matter like that, which is the country's reputation in terms of human rights and so forth, they have sat on this thing and then putting all the blame on the DPP. No, that is unacceptable. They have to do what they have to do. They must do what they have to do. They're talking about crime and fighting crime and all these things. Don't talk about turning sword and talking about news stations. These are important. All those things, but that is very important because it's the integrity of the police force. To tell me 5 men were killed in Beaufort, or 5 men were shot, 4 died, were killed that night. I mean to say, and nothing up to now. That was a very bloody day for the St. Lucia in the history of our country, in the annals of our country. And after 11 years, they are still bickering among themselves. The two parties, one criticizing Mr. Shastri should have done more. It is his baby, it is this and that. No. Governments come, government go through general election, but the state exists, and the institutions of the state must be protected. They must function properly if the state is to be a strong state. They have to realize that, and they must do better than that, or get themselves out of the way.
Where does that leave the DPP?
Well, the DPP, I sympathize with the DPP. He knows why he has not been able to do what he has to do, because I know for the longest while he has been telling me, and we know too, he has said that prosecutions would have been come. We heard that certain persons were taken in for questioning and so forth. He was the one, I think, the evidence stayed in Jamaica all the way for the 5 years Labour Party was in office, 2011, 2016. I think on assuming the post in 2017, he was able to gather the evidence and so forth. And then also, I believe it's not difficult, because when you have the police still investigating and scrutinizing and going over the evidence, reviewing, the police was, there's a culture of impunity in the police force. It's like a club. I said so openly in the court the other day before the magistrate. It is like a club, and sometimes it's very difficult. The DPP might want to do what he wants to do, but there could be a difficulty there. So he himself should come out, have a press conference and say something. But I sympathize with him, knowing how things function in this society, knowing the difficulty in police having in a serious matter like that to actually investigate or to. I know there were police sometimes, they even ignore the DPP. Some years ago, there was a person involved in a shooting matter, and the DPP got the file, and she recommended that the police officer be prosecuted. they turned a blind eye. I insisted and insisted and insisted. I said, you are the DPP. The police cannot ignore your advice. Eventually, the police officer was arrested and indicted. It is 6 years, going on almost 10 years. Up to now, the case hasn't been called. So these are some of the difficulties we face in this country. If people who assume duty as public servants must realize there are certain principles that are going to make our country work well and it's going to make us shine outside there in the eyes of other nations and other people. You come into the public service, you have to do your job according to the principles of government, accountability, knowing the Constitution, and knowing there is no compromising. There's no what they call friendship and all this kind of culture. It is a shame in the 21st century that St. Lucia is still being governed in that fashion.
Thank you so much for speaking with us on NewsSpin, ma'am. We just heard there from human rights attorney and activist Miss Mary Francis. We continue with your calls at 452-2979, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, 716-2026. Kimani, what's happening in the chat room?
Someone says, I'm opening a GoFundMe for PJP. I'm sending him to Venezuela to govern. Another comment, the DPP has to act quickly and now. Someone says, the Panama issue is in fact that everything the SLP accuses UWP of are things that they are doing. Someone says, Kenny Anthony is a smart politician, no portfolio, and running into the sunset. Someone help me. Why would KDA make such statements live on TV? The man pushed everyone under the bus.
We have a call. Good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air.
Hi, Tim.
Hi. Good afternoon to you, Rick Queen.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Tim, you know, while it is of great use to discuss what has become to be known as IMPACS, serves great purpose. It's also more evidence of how stupid we are as a nation and why we are where we are. Do I have to explain that? Of course I do. Can you remember there was a lot of, well, not a lot, I spent a lot of time on Grindberg, right?
Yes.
Do you have any conclusive idea of what happened to Grindberg?
I don't.
All right, anyway, it's not, I really was never primarily interested in Grindberg, the tribunal matter. What do you call it? ICSID?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I really was only tangentially interested in that because that particular matter involved a lawsuit brought by Jack Grindberg against the government of St. Lucia. Okay?
Yeah.
And that lawsuit was being heard elsewhere. I was interested in that. I'm still interested in that. But always my primary interest, Tim, was how did we get into a deal with Grindberg? How did we get into a deal with Grindberg? Do you know that? For the answer?
No, I don't.
Huh?
No, I don't. You are the expert. You are the expert on Grindberg, you know.
But you know, Tim, it's really shameful. And don't take me wrong. It just shows the country we're living in. That Grindberg is almost a brand name, eh?
Yeah.
Everybody knows something dodgy went on involving Huntley and the government, etc., etc. But I put it to you that very few people can say anything conclusive or anything useful or enlightening about how we got into a deal with Grindberg in the first place, and that would allow Grindberg to turn around and sue the country. Now, how many people you hear interested in that? Nobody. So that's why we are where we are. And you're going to be asking yourself, what the hell is Rick Quinn talking about now, rambling about Grindberg? which is unresolved, and IMPACS. And I love the line where Mary Frances just said there, America should never have been involved in this matter in the first place. And you didn't ask her why she said that, Tim.
There wasn't any need for me to ask that question. Because too much has been said.
That?
Too much has been said on it already. There wasn't any need for me to ask that question.
Tim, your phone is so bad, boy.
Yeah. But bear with us. I'm not saying to you, there wasn't any need for me to ask the question. Because too much has been said already.
Well, Tim, you'll be surprised that maybe no need for you, but reading Facebook and hearing all the multicolored hacks, I think you need to inform your audience. Even your chat room, I'll bet half of them, 3/4 of them, will not be writing anything on there about what we're talking about. They'll be talking about Kenny, we're talking about somebody else, etc. But that's what we're engaged in. We never engage in the meat. We always only are concerned with the fluff. We settle for fluff. Mary Frances made a very important point when she said America should never have been involved in this in the first place. Now, and she's correct. To my point of view, she's correct.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I need not ask anything on that because I already addressed the issue yesterday when I made reference to former government minister Sir Calix George Sr. But anyway, let's move on, Rick, in the interest of time.
Well, Calix George didn't quite get there, but anyway, that's a very important question. And that was what I wanted to bring to you, that we are now concerned with the politicians and IMPACS, which grabbed our attention for about 5 or 6 years, but we paid no attention to the findings of our coroner's courts. And right 2 years and something months ago, the DPP promised the people of this country, pledged to the people of this country, that he was going to prosecute 5 of the incidents that we're talking about involving in the IMPACS. But nobody's talking about that. Still, we are talking only about IMPACS and not our justice system and not our DPP, not our courts, not the citizens who claim to want to see justice done and so on. Nobody cares about what our courts, our coroner's courts found and what our director of public prosecution promised the country. So we're interested yet again in the fluff. It's very important fluff in this case, IMPACS. Like how the Americans got in, were the illegalities involved, but also why it is nobody is making noise about why the DPP, who said he had evidence enough to prosecute 5 cases, has not done so. Leave that question mark there.
Maybe, Rick, there are some stumbling blocks, but it's for, as Miss Mary Frances suggested, maybe the DPP should convene a press conference and to clarify certain things, because I think an explanation from him is long overdue, considering that promise that he made over 2 years ago.
Well, I'm not interested in speculative stumbling blocks. I am interested in hearing from the DPP and hearing from the minister in charge of our safety and so on, something as to why this case has not yet reached the court. Is it going to end up like Valinda Joseph, like Giselle Georges, like the scores that you and I could name of people who are killed in this country like frogs on the trucks? And that we keep on we the people keep on making St. Lucian life as meaningless as bugs and cockroaches. We the people are the ones doing that. We are telling the whole world and the authority that our lives are worth not a nickel by supporting this whole official attitude to life in this country. So, as Mary Frances said, the people who are killed were human beings. They have relatives. They have children. they have girlfriends, etc., etc. Those who survive at least need to hear how their relatives died. That's why we have a justice system. But we are busy riding only the political horse, and how that political horse is trampling all over our justice system, Tim. Right?
Absolutely. And you know, and we've been addressing those issues for a very long time, Rick. But it is just that without any kind of action, without any kind of follow-up, without holding those in authority accountable.
And who do you think is responsible for that?
Basically, the people. We are all responsible.
It is not Kenny Anthony. It is not Philip Gifter. It's not Alan. It's we the people.
Yeah, the people.
It's we the people. So it's almost, you know, I can understand Mary Francis's frustration. I feel the same. I just know if I stop, I will die, because that's what keeps me alive. My interest in justice, as I see it, and that doesn't mean I am 100% correct and I'm the genius. I have questions to which I have a right. And I also have the right to have reasonable answers from the people we elected. And government continues. Philip J. P. was asking yesterday, how did I inherit the cross? But the cross was handed him when Kenny Anthony handed it to the government of the day. So that cross is to be borne by Kenny Anthony, by Philip J. Pierre, by Alan Chasney. And they are calling it their cross, when in fact it is our cross, not their cross. They are the ones who put the cross on our shoulders, Tim.
Yeah.
But there's the Prime Minister talking about his cross.
And the Prime Minister is pretending to be a victim in this whole thing. I mean, the real victims there, if there were extrajudicial killings, would have been the victims themselves, those who perished, and also their relatives.
Be careful with the use of that phrase. Nobody has ever, no tribunal, no court of law has ever established that there were judicial killings.
I said alleged. I said alleged extrajudicial killings.
Don't say alleged. Say the correct one. That there were killings by the police. That is the fact. We don't have to allege anything. Those who allege, let them bring court cases. That's what we want. We hear everywhere that there were. In fact, even if we leave the alleged, we still need some answers as to how those people died. What did they really die in the course of police carrying out their duties? We need to know that as well, and that has to be established in court in the proper place, Tim.
Okay, Rick.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. By the way, Rick will be my guest on this evening's Newsmaker Live on DBS Television from 8:30. Once again, Newsmaker Live on DBS Television. My special guest will be Rick Wayne. You are watching NewsSpin on our NewsSpin Facebook page. We are also on YouTube, and you're listening to the broadcast on Power 97.9 FM.
There is only one option when they arrive. Our services will make the dead look alive. With Bouteille and Beaufort accessibility. Remember, we have the only private cemetery. No one can match our prices from coffins to corsage. Personalized service you get when Lazarus take charge. Quality service, no package to make your wallet bleed. Lazarus is your true friend in your time of need.
Lucilec kaveti ou pou point précaution diwan saison cyclone sa la. Mi an ti commission qui kaywen de ou protéger la vie ou ek propriétaire ou. Kouye Lucilec avant ou trim et ben couper pied bois qui poué ligne électrique. Veillez pour ligne courant électrique avant ou monter l'échelle. Fait assurer l'échelle, scaffold et bout d'outil ou ka servi pas vini moins qui 10 pieds hors ligne courant électrique. Pas jamais servi appliance et ben outils qui ka servi courant électrique. Des wall côté qui mouillé et ben en la pli. Ça c'était en commission hors Lucilec.
It all started with a penny For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
Things are heating up at the National Farmers and General Workers Credit Union Limited. We've got some red-hot deals just for you with 100% financing. Rev up for some excitement with our incredible vehicle loan offer. Building or renovating, we've got you covered. Or pack up for that ideal getaway. This offer won't be available forever. Visit us today and take advantage of this limited time deal. Don't miss out on these fantastic deals with 100% financing. Only at the National Farmers and General Workers Credit Union Limited. We're your friend when you're in need.
Fast Pay, a new and easy way to pay. Fast Pay, Fast Pay.
You asked for it and you got it. A quicker way to pay your bills online. It's fast, secure, and easy to use. No registration, no additional fees. Flow is now offering FastPay, an online service that allows you to settle your bills in less than 2 minutes. Need a receipt? FastPay will send it to your email immediately. Use FastPay now for convenience, safety, and efficiency at discoverflow.co/fastpay.
Fast Pay, 2 minutes and you're on your way. Fast Pay, Fast Pay.
Flow is keeping you connected.
And he's done it! He's done it! And my goodness, it's gone.
The party is back! Premier Sports Inc. presents the KMC SPL T20. Powered by the National Lotteries Authority. Will defending champions Choiseul Craft Masters retain their crown? Or will they be pulled down?
Oh, strike Perfection.
From October 13th to the 28th at the Darren Sammy Cricket Grounds and Grosley Playing Field. Grab your tickets now. Fall Gas Station in Grosley, Amici Restaurant and Bar in Rodney Bay, Riverside Car Park in Castries, Soufre Foundation in Soufre, Monrepo, Choiseul, and Labrie Credit Union. Tickets are only $15 for adults, $5 for children. VIP $65 and $85. The party is back! The KMC SPL T20, powered by the National Lotteries Authority. Show them how to party.
My mindset Lisi, écoutez, on Saturday, October 28th, Project Chocolat is the place to be for Fête Creole. Starting from 7 p.m., we're serving up Creole food so divine, you'll want seconds. Entertainment by the Wuletete Solo Group, the ever electrifying Extreme Band, DJ Rimo, and more. Tickets are $70 for adults over 18, inclusive of mouth-watering bakes, fish cakes, and rich cocoa tea. 13 to 18 years pay half price at the door. T-Moon, the little ones, 12 years and under, enter free. Tickets are available at the Cell Outlets island-wide and Mambo's Bar in Soufre. Project Chocolat, we're celebrating St. Lucian heritage with delicious food, unforgettable fun, and true Lucian spirit. Venez célébrer Fête Creole avec nous at Project Chocolat. This event is endorsed by the FRC.
Can't get a break from all this tax? Head to Automotive Art and get a taxcation. Automotive Art is offering you an ease from VAT and health and safety levy with savings of up to 15% and more. That's right, 15% of all tools, 15% of all accessories, 15% of car detailing, 15% of all rims, 15% of computerized wheel alignment, and 15% and more of selected tires with savings of up to 30% on some sizes. It's Automotive Art Taxcation. Visit us at Automotive Art at Vidbouteille Castries and La Tounivier for today and enjoy a taxcation. Offer valid for limited time. Some conditions apply. See stores for details.
Are you working that 9-to-5 job but also juggling a side hustle? Well, Elks Credit Union has great news for you. Introducing Elks Credit Union Side Hustle Boost Loan. Need funds to take your side hustle to the next level? With our Side Hustle Boost Loan, you can access up to $50,000, giving your side hustle the boost it needs. And here's the best part. You'll have up to 5 years to pay it back with flexible repayment options that suits your budget. Whether it's expanding your inventory, upgrading your equipment, or marketing your services, Elks Credit Union is here to support your entrepreneurial dreams. Don't let your side hustle remain just a dream. Let Elks Credit Union empower you to turn it into a thriving reality. Boost your side hustle today with Elks Credit Union's Side Hustle Boost Loan. Contact us now or visit our website for more information. Elks Credit Union, your partner in success. Terms and conditions apply.
It's coming. The brunch of the century. Welcome to Sunburnt. Sunday, November 26th. Sunburnt. Sunburnt. It's coming.
452-2979, 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, 716-2026. What's in the chat room, Kimani?
Someone says, Tim, we are also the victims because this IMPACS issue is just perpetuating more corruption. And in the comment, agree, Rick, who initiated IMPACS, which appears to have undermined our coroner's courts. Something is definitely wrong with our justice system. And someone says it's PJP's time to shine, gave the man a chance. Another comment, what is happening to our democracy? Why are all these entities dependent on the politicians? Someone says, I don't think civil servants should vote. And a comment from YouTube, the Prime Minister is acting like he is still in opposition. He said that he would handle all of these issues given a chance. Now given the chance, all he wants to do is dance around it. SMH.
We have a call coming from the diaspora. Mr. Elwin St. Rose, recently a guest on NewsSpin. He's now on the air. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, and how are you?
I'm all right. How about you?
I am doing very well, thanks. I wanted to call in and say something on the discussion that is going on.
Go right ahead.
We are talking about the IMPACS report. That's a report that is a decade old, and somehow it is re-emerging in the public discourse. I am not absolutely sure of what is causing it to re-emerge, but I think there was a question I saw a reporter asking the Prime Minister about 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he was extremely defensive and he refused to answer the question. So there may be something indeed with the Director of Public Prosecutions and the government and ministers of government and people in the public sector. So I don't know, so I'm not going to speculate on that. But what I wanted to say, Mr. Poleon, is that St. Lucia, our beloved Helen of the West, has been crippled by the political posture that has been imposed upon it all these years. The IMPACS report is a micro issue, but St. Lucia has some macro problems. One of the problems...
All right, we'll try to rectify that problem. Please bear with us. We'll try to continue our conversation with Mr.
He's
Elwin.
the leader of the nation. He's the leader of the nation. And he refuses to answer the media's question. He refuses to engage things that are in the public discourse. And he seems rather flustered, anxious, upset. And I don't know if he is aware of certain things that we don't know. But let me talk about the macro issue. St. Lucia has three main problems. One, and these are, if we understand these things, we'll understand the IMPACS report as a micro issue. St. Lucia has a problem of the citizenry's disengagement of the serious issues that are impacting St. Lucia. We don't really understand in St. Lucia that the power that these politicians have is our power. We give it to them. And if we give it to them, we can take it away. They don't have power of their own. We have to elect them into their positions. And we put our hands in the air. We put our hands in our pockets. We get disengaged. We don't want to vote. We don't want to get involved. So we allow them to define the process for us when we should actually be defining the process for ourselves. The second macro problem that St. Lucia has is a lack of transparency, and I kind of hinted to it earlier. The Prime Minister is refusing to answer a reporter's question in a democracy. The reporters and the journalists and people like you stand between the powerful and the powerless, and we have to demand transparency from them. A few weeks ago, I watched one of the female ministers in the current administration having some kind of discussion about she went on a lunch date and she came out with something for souffle, but don't ask her about it. Are you kidding me? We have to ask you about it. We have to know what happened there. If you go on your personal date, that's fine. But if you bring in souffle as a constituency into it, we need to know what happened there. And the third thing I will say, Mr. Poleon, is that we don't hold people accountable. We don't hold the politicians accountable, and the police officers don't seem to be accountable to anybody either. Let me give you one example. You remember the very, very terrible accident on the Millennium Highway in 2002, where several individuals died in an accident, and my mother was one of those individuals. I at least expected the gentleman who everybody knew was careless, reckless, and irresponsible to be held accountable by the police and by the courts for what he did to my mother and the 4 other people who died in that minibus. Nothing happened to him, Mr. Poleon. Nothing happened to him. He probably was fined $100 and he's home munching his popcorn, and the 5 families of the victims are grieving and mourning up to now. We have an accountability problem in St. Lucia. And I listened to the human rights attorney. She's upset, she's frustrated. I understand it, because we don't hold our politicians accountable, and the politicians don't hold the police accountable. And why is it that we have been hearing about the DPP talking to the Commissioner of Police about imminent arrest or certain people who had to be arrested, and we have never heard from the DPP and we have never seen an arrest? So we have a transparency problem and we have an accountability problem. And at some point, Mr. Poleon, we the people have to demand better. You've heard me, you've heard me so many times. We need to demand better. We need to demand more. We live in a functioning democracy. Transparency is one of the hallmarks of a democracy. And why is it we don't know? Something as important as the IMPACS report, why is it we don't know what's going on with it? Why is it that DPP is not coming out, or the Prime Minister, who's also Minister for Homeland Security, why is he not saying anything? And if the judiciary in St. Lucia is independent, where is the DPP? DPP comes up in almost every conversation except the individual who sits in the office of DPP. So I'm saying that we are creating problems. We are allowing problems to give birth to problems, and more problems are coming up because we don't realize that the power that these people have is power that we give to them. And it's time for that to change. And I'm telling you today, I am going to push it all the way through 25-26, because something has to give. We have to demand more and we have to demand better.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to hear from you, sir. St. Lucian living in the United States, Mr. Elwin St. Rose. He retired from the U.S. Army a few years ago. The chat room, Kibani.
Someone says the Labour Party government only talk about it when they are in opposition. Another comment from YouTube, someone is asking, why is he sounding so angry? The new driver cannot drive, referring to the Prime Minister. And someone says, BJP resign while you are presumed to have some dignity. Another comment, the Prime Minister is being applauded every time he speaks, so he sees nothing wrong. Someone says, I think that's what the next protest should be about. The solving of IMPACS. PM, deal with it. We have no room for this distraction. We have crime and unemployment to deal with. Another comment, the flubbles, all they can talk about is doom and gloom. Another comment in the chat room. The PM not saying anything because all the actors of IMPACS are now sitting in the same cabinet. How great is my God? That's it, Tim.
Thank you so much. We have to pay tribute to a well-known St. Lucian calypsonian, well-known to the adult population because he has been performing since what? Since the 1970s, whether it's calypso or soca music. I'm referring there to Jonty, whose christened name is Martin Regis, and he passed away yesterday, has been ailing for a while. Is a former Road March king in St. Lucia. I remember having the opportunity to interview Jonty on several occasions upon his arrival to St. Lucia from the United States. During the carnival season, he would arrive on the island, and I would interview him because he was getting all set for the either the Soca Monarch Calypso competition or any other event. And I think he was taking particular aim in those years at the Road March, and he got it on several occasions, and he has some memorable songs. Ooh la li la li la la. The Bobblist is one of the most popular of his many tracks, and I'm sure that many of you fans right now, you're certainly grieving over his passing. Because we seem to be losing so many of our prominent people in this country, whether as entertainers, as educators, in some instances, public sector workers. So that is a fact of life. But somehow, as human beings, we just cannot come to terms with losing a loved one, losing somebody who has in one way or the other made a contribution to our well-being. One of the tracks is well known for, and that's Jonty, Bobblist.
St. Lucians, put your hand on your head and ball. And if the government make you ball, let me hear you go ball. St. Lucians, put your hand on your head and ball. And if the government make you ball, go ball. Man, I'm looking in the crystal ball. I see politicians playing the ball. Looking in the crystal ball, I see politicians playing the ball. Mackie playing the ball. Ball, Neville playing the ball, Ozzy playing the ball. I'm not looking in the crystal ball. I see politicians playing the ball. Looking in the crystal ball, I see politicians playing the ball. Mackie playing the ball, Lucas playing the ball, Lucas playing the ball, Lemming playing the ball. Ball, 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 ball. Let me hear you. Ball, 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 ball. Football, basketball, volleyball, ball. Man, I'm looking in the crystal ball. I see politicians playing the ball. Looking in the crystal ball, I see politicians playing the ball. Mackie playing the ball, Harry playing the ball, Ozzy playing the ball, Johnny playing the ball.
One of his popular tracks, Bobblist, and that's the late Jonty, real name Martin Regis. He passed away yesterday in St. Lucia. Incidentally, while he was on island over the last few days, participated in various engagements, and certainly we'd like to sympathize with his family and friends. Condolences to all. So life is momentarily, and all the reason why we should not be taking ourselves seriously. One day you're alive, the next day you're gone.
You own nothing, you lose nothing. If you buy land or buy a house, you have only paid rent for the remaining years you have on earth. None of them belong to you. If you buy a car, you have only paid for your transport for the period the car will last or for the period you will last. It doesn't belong to you. If you marry a spouse, you have only got company until circumstances or death do you part. No one owns the other. If you have children, you have only fulfilled the demand of continuity of life until death comes. You don't own them. That's why the state still dictates how you bring them up. If you have money, you have only amassed value to purchase what you want for your remaining number of years on earth. The notes belong to the central bank. If you work and retire, your pension is only for life. After your life, it stops. Even if you eat and get filled, the food in your belly isn't yours. You must defecate it back to earth. The body itself, which you cherish so highly, doesn't belong to you. The earth will certainly reclaim its bits when the loan is due. Even the life we live is borrowed, and surely will be returned. So let us not be afraid of losing anything in this life, because we do not own anything here. Two things will surely happen. We will either be taken away from everything we think we own, or everything we think we own will be taken away from us someday. It is that day that none of us know. We boast about our body, our houses, our lands, our money, our wives, our husbands, our children, our parents, our everything. But that's where it ends. Boasting. Ruminate intensely, and it won't be difficult to find out that we do not own any of those things. We are only availed of them to mitigate the necessary constraints of our sojourn here. So never lose your head, or your cool, or your temper, or your values, or your vibrancy whenever you think you have lost something, because nothing was ever really yours.
Condolences once again to the late Martin Regis, better known as Jonty. And that's the broadcast. Thank you so much for watching and listening to another edition of the most monitored talk show in the world. It's NewsSpin. Join me this evening, 7 o'clock on DBS television for the DBS News World. And again at 8:30 for Newsmaker Live. My guest, Rick Wayne. Goodbye.